all like to kind of just settle yourself down. Welcome. Don't make me use my personal trainer voice. Yeah. Okay, so thank you all very much for coming today. I'm glad the weather didn't keep some of you away. We are recording this, so if you can't leave now that you know that, but if you have neighbors or whoever who couldn't make it, we will have this recording as well. So thank you for coming to the town hall. Certainly very important for us to be here today. The last time we met was at our AGM, and we wanted to host another town hall. We'll probably do this again next year. We'll have our AGM and a town hall just to give you some information and let you know what's been going on in the department since the last time we met. So very pleased that you could all make it. So today, first of all, let me do some quick introductions. Who is this?
That's our chief!
Excellent. And also, plowing our roads. Thank you so much for doing that. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I got up and it was all done, so thank you. Yeah, and then we've got Captain Shelley, this is my wife, Captain Shelley Bohnke, who's also here. We've got board members, so Patrick is here. Patrick, maybe give a wave, and Gary Vath, the president, vice president. Actually, I'm the president. He's been downgraded. We've got Lisa, our secretary, over here. Joanne is in the store, so unfortunately she can't be here today. And I'm not sure what Keith is, but we'll send a shout out for him. So that makes up our board. I'm the president now and the treasurer. Yes, I'm holding a dual role. So that's been a really interesting and fun journey that I'm going to share with you. And we also have all of our firefighter members. So can you stand up, please? So you can see all of the wonderful members that are here today. Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to go over the format of today and let you know what's going to be happening, and then Aaron, of course, will speak, and then Shelley will have some stuff to share with you as well. So you have the agenda in front of you. What I wanted to do today was just go over some of the updated financials since the last AGM. For those of you who are here, there were some questions, and I want to tell you exactly what's been going on. You have my contact information as well, so be kind when you're sending me emails. If you want updated financials for the last 3 years or even something more updated, you can send me an email and I will send it to you. I didn't print them off because I didn't know how many people would be here, and also that's just a lot of work, and which I don't mind doing, but if you're actually interested and want to go through some of that, you can contact me. I will email that to you, and if you have any questions, we can always arrange a meeting so I can go over those things one-on-one. We want full transparency with the financials from the fire department because it's important you know exactly what is going on with your department in the community. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And I'm just checking to make sure I didn't make a mistake with my email address. Okay, so that looks really good. Okay, so just in brief, I'm going to go over the financials. I know you don't have anything necessarily in front of you, but I wanted to talk about the fact that we hired a bookkeeping service to actually do the books for the department, because I'm not a bookkeeper. Even though I'm the treasurer, I'm not a bookkeeper, and I didn't have that skill set. So I think it was a very smart move that the fire department hired a bookkeeping service, because they're on top of everything, and they have cleaned up the last 3 years of financials, which means that we know exactly where we stand financially. And the other benefit to that was that there's continuity. So no matter who is in the role of treasurer moving forward, the company will continue to do the books, and there's that continuity and transparency, which I think is very important when you're running an organization. And the other piece to that is they know a lot of the tax laws or anything that's governing the not-for-profits, which is also an advantage to us too. And yeah, so that's been really lovely. One of the things that I want to highlight today is some of the things that are happening with the income. So first of all, thank you for paying your fire dues. Everyone, round of applause, please. Thank you. I can't tell you how important that is. It's been so helpful having Park Hill and Alpine and SVLD and the Grove just providing us with one lump sum payment at the beginning of the year or sometime in that year, because that is guaranteed revenues for the department, which we can do financial planning from. And things like, for example, securing a lease. So there was a truck that was no longer functioning, and it was decommissioned. It was now sold, which is great. And we're in the midst of getting another truck and going for a lease for that truck. So, but we need to show revenue. So when you pay your fire dues, you're showing that revenue and you're helping us not only to secure this fleet, but also future fleets down the road. And why that's important is because without trucks, there's no protection. There's no protection for us here in the valley, and there's no protection for people along the highway. And these trucks are aging out, and we have to create a plan to make sure that we have the next truck after this truck be able to come in. So we have to show revenues for that, okay? So having said that, I do want to share some numbers, not because I want to highlight something that isn't happening, but actually be quite the opposite. So we know Park Hill, Alpine Grove, and the estates all provide that revenue, which is great. So that represents about 271 lots that are all prepaid. Thank you very much. That leaves about 230 lots from the village of Meadow, Samallow, Huckleberry, and Cedar. And right now, the paid rate for those lots, we're at about 34%. Sorry, let me take that back, 53% paid. So out of the 230 lots or so that represent those other villages, 123 have paid their fire dues for 2025. So that's great, 53%, that's not bad. But that does leave about $18,000 plus on the table of unpaid fire dues. So that's quite a lot of money. They're not mandatory, so it's not like we can go knocking on people's doors and say, you need to pay your dues, and certainly we would never do that because we don't want to approach it that way. But it would be very helpful if everyone could at least pay that. But I just wanted to let you know that's where it's at. I don't think 53% is terrible, but if we could get that up a little higher, it would certainly help those guaranteed revenues for the department. Okay, so I'm going to take a breath. How are we doing? Good? I'm going to take questions later, but so far you're tracking me? Okay, fantastic. So the other piece is, it's been about 3 years since fire dues were actually increased. And I know increasing things is never a fun thing unless we get fun things back, right? But you do get fun things back. You get protection. If something happens in your home, you get these wonderful people responding in less than 5 minutes to come and help you, whether that be a medical emergency or any other emergency. You have that coverage here. So I think there's a great benefit to having this department, and the fees will need to go up. They'll need to go up because we're just scraping by. So for example, our average expenses for the year to just run the fire hall, not including training or gear or anything, is around $75,000. That's a lot of money, okay? So right now with the fire dues that are actually coming in that we're collecting, it's just barely covering it. So about $80,000 is what we're taking in revenue. So you can see that leaves very little margin for any kind of contingencies, things that go sideways. So the dues we're going to go up to $225 for next year, and then we're hoping for the year after to $250. Now, nothing's written in stone. I'm letting you know this right now. I've got all the numbers to support it. $225 will give us coverage that we need to make sure that all of our expenses are paid for the year, and it also gives us a buffer for things that can go sideways. Every time a truck goes down for repairs, it can be thousands of dollars. And we don't want to run into an issue where we don't have the money to pay. So ideally, the fire dues will cover those expenses just to run the hall. Things that we can't get grants for. There are no operating grants out there. So if the fire dues cover the expenses, we're good to go. At the $250 rate per year, which think about how many Starbucks coffees you buy, I'm just saying. Now we not only create a surplus, but now we can put money away for other trucks down the road. Because we have to be thinking ahead of the game, not catching up. So if we were able to take those dues up even by that amount, we can start putting money aside for the next time we need to buy a truck, if that makes sense. However, we all realize at the board level, and just as a human, that going from 175 to 250 for some could be quite a large jump. And because of that, we felt it was better to just do an interim step at 225. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that that's the reason. We've got all the numbers to really support why these amounts made a lot of sense and why we came up with them. Does that make sense? Okay. I feel like the counselor in me is like checking in. Does that make sense? Is that okay? Okay. Okay. So pretty much I think that's it for what I wanted to share with you. Again, my door is open. I am happy to talk about anything that's coming up, any questions you have. I will stay after the meeting. You have my email contact. Everything is fully transparent here. We just really want you to feel comfortable that you're part of this community, part of the fire department, because you are members as well, so that you know what's going on. Okay? Thank you for your attention, and I'll pass it over to the next gentleman here. Aaron, it's all you.
you, Donna, for that presentation. If you notice around the community hall here, we have some tables set up here. We have a table with smoke detectors, the fire smart table, go bags, lot number signs, and the recruitment table. So the one thing I'd like to bring up here is the emergency. Sorry.
Slide that over to you.
Yeah. The emergency preparedness or evacuation plan. So obviously we've been kind of like watching the news in the last little bit, and we've been noticing a lot more wildfires. Last year it was a world record BC wildfires. I think it was over, if I remember, 726 fires going at one time in BC alone. So we've been working together as a team. We've been actually meeting on Tuesdays nights, the fire department, and coming up with plans and to see how can we help the community if there was ever an evacuation plan. So we have been working very hard, and we are still in the process of making this evacuation plan. The one thing that we all know is these things right here are not reliable in Sunshine Valley. The cell phone service up here goes out when power goes out. There's places here in Sunshine Valley that there's zero cell phone service and stuff like that. But however, we do have internet here in the valley. And the one thing I do recommend downloading on your phone if you do not have is called the Alertable app. There's business cards at the front table there. If you did not get one, I highly recommend getting one of these apps. This app helps you this app helps and alerts you for any emergencies that does happen here in the valley. I've had it now on my phone for I think 4 years, and it's a fantastic app. When I've been even deployed helping other villages in BC, this app is amazing how it alerts me in the area that I am in and helps you out. So it could alert me from 2 o'clock in the morning to lunchtime. It'll alert you ahead of time. It'll tell you what is the next steps of what to do. So being in a small community with the force surrounding us, I highly recommend this app. We are also looking into if you don't have Wi-Fi at the property and stuff, how can we communicate to the community and stuff like that. So again, we're still working on this, but we'll have more information at our table at the end of the meeting for you guys if you guys are interested in more information on this. Another thing that we have been making up here on the department is we have made a little flyer. And I believe everyone got one when they walked in the door. So this little flyer here has all the information you need to have if an emergency does happen here in the valley. This flyer tells you what to prepare yourself with and how to know what you need to do before leaving the valley if there was ever an evacuation plan. There are 2 YouTube videos actually on this flyer, and I do highly recommend watching. It's on the back page, I believe.
Yeah.
So the one it's called The Test, and it is a documentary about Logan Lake, which is almost the same size community of Sunshine Valley. It's about an hour-long video, if I remember, and it's a video of how they spent 18 years fire smarting their area and community. Very amazing video to watch. It has turned my vision of Sunshine Valley and what I am actually looking at even doing my own property to fire smart my own property. So I highly recommend that video to watch. Another one is it's called the IBHS Research Center, which is an ember storm test. So when I was deployed, I've been deployed now 5 times now, my career in the last 2 years. Very interesting. You know, you could read your book all day long, learning how to fight a fire and all that. But when you're actually there witnessing the fire, it's a whole different story. And it's actually shocking to see. It's not the fire that actually causes the house to burn. It's actually the embers that float in the air and land on like from your wood pile stacked against the side of your house. It's hidden trees. It's amazing to see this in action and how this could affect someone's property. I'm not here to scare you guys in any way, but after witnessing this for my deployments, it's an eye-opener, honestly. And it's just something I would like to present to the community here and help the community out. And you know, we're here 24/7, you know, 7 days a week, every day of the year, and we're more than happy to come on your property and help you guys out. And even if it comes down to fire smarting your property, we're happy to come on your property, give you tips and how to fire smart your property. So in saying that, we also have a fire smart table over there. And we were hoping to have an FVRD representative show up today, but unfortunately last minute things have changed and he could not come here. But I just want to give a couple of quick little things here. So there's a program that the FVRD supplies for fire smarting your property. And it's a program where you have to need to be signed up to this program. A representative, either myself or one of our firefighters, will come to your property free of charge, or even an FVRD representative will come to your property and assess the property and tell you what needs to be done to help fire smart your property. There's also rebates on this as well. So if you sign up for this program, you could get up to 50% off, or 50% back in rebates by fire smarting your property if you spend up to $10,000. Sounds high, but by the time you get maybe think about like a tree faller, limbing your branches, an excavator maybe to help clean up the property or whatever, that adds up very quick. And if you could get money back for helping and doing your fire smarting in your property, I think that's amazing that the FVRD is providing that feature. So I just want to bring this up. Again, I'm not here to alarm you guys, but the reason why we're also having this meeting too is for the long-term residents here in Sunshine Valley, they know of how much snow we get. I've been here since 1992, and I remember entering the second-story window of my parents' cabin just to get into the cabin because we had that much snow. So there's the last, I would say 5-6 years, the snowfall has been very little here in the valley, and it's something I think we have to. People say, no snow, yay, and stuff like that, but it actually does help us. It helps us with the water system. It helps us to keep the moisture in the ground, to keep those fires down and stuff like that. So when we could be dealing with another very dry season again, it could be, I'm not going to say not dangerous, but it could be, could be scary, right? And I'm just saying my truth honest, right? So, again, we all watched the news, we all seen how many fires were in BC last year. And it's just something I think we just need to look into at our own properties, and maybe we could help this valley out. So, anything I'm missing here? One more, so I don't want to scare you guys anymore about the whole fires and stuff like that. But the one thing we've been actually noticing here, so we've been getting a lot of medical calls here in the valley, and BC Ambulance, I'm not putting BC Ambulance down, the crew's amazing, but they're actually doing these rotate shifts now. So back in the day when, we had a medical call, it was always the same crew that came up to Sunshine Valley. They knew Sunshine Valley. They knew exactly where they were going, when there was an issue at a medical, and stuff like that. The problem that we're having now is they're having these rotate shifts. So you have all these new people from downtown Vancouver, all the way, I've seen Salmon Arm, some first responders from these families from Salmon Arm. And, they get here, they have no clue of Sunshine Valley. So the one thing that highly recommend is having your lot number and address visible on the street. Some of the new firefighters here, they're learning really well the valley. I trust them, to go to that location if had to. But when there's a medical and BCM does not know where to go, I highly recommend making sure that your address or lot number is visible from the street. So we have another table there where you can see the lot number sign that Ryan Ellen makes from the museum. And I think he charges
$40.
$40 for a sign. They're reflective, so they're easy to see at night. And it just helps whoever has to go to that property to be there. So that's one thing I do highly recommend to get down to your property. And, for $40, I think that's a well-paid unit there for your place. I know he has done custom logos as well, so if you don't want the crow, you can do whatever you want. So you can make it fancy or whatever way you want. But again, I know everyone's here spending their time on a Saturday, taking their time to be here at this meeting. I don't want to be here taking up all your Saturday. I know we have busy lives here and stuff like that. So again, I do highly recommend downloading this Alertable app. The fire department is working on the emergency plan as we speak. And we are also please read this brochure. The one thing that we are also looking into is, I know there's a lot of Airbnbs up here in the valley, so how could we present this to your Airbnb guests? So the one thing on the back of this is a QR code. So with your smartphone, you can scan this QR code and it's the same information as what you see here. It gives us to our website as well. So we're going to be looking into upgrading even our fridge magnets. Our fridge magnets will have our emergency contact number, all that, with the QR code. So at any time, your guest can scan that QR code and there's the flyer. So again, I've only been on this department as chief now for 5 months and loving it every day. But we've been very busy, getting all this information together. We are all here volunteer, and so again, I thank my team for the huge step up they've done and putting their time and effort into this department and helping and getting all this information together. So I just want to give them a round of applause to those guys as well.
I could add some stuff.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to pass over the mic to Shelley here.
Hi, I'm Shelley. I wasn't sure if I'm going to speak, but apparently I'm going to. So what I could add to that is, in this pamphlet, it's what the community can do for us is to be prepared if there is a time that you have to be evacuated, whether it's a forest fire or whatever the case may be. Is if you're prepared, it makes our job easier because you're prepared to go, and that would make it easier for us. So that's part of this pamphlet, and we have go bags on there over here on the table that Barb will kind of walk you through if you'd like to look at that. Just having that prepared, not only for yourself, but for your pets as well. So you're ready to go at any moment if that does arise. The other thing that I'd like to mention about the fire smarting, when I first started getting involved in this, my first thought was, where we live, is fire smarting even going to make a difference? So I asked that question, and the answer was yes, it does. Every home that does something to fire smart will make a difference. Even just moving your wood pile or cleaning up, it will make a difference. So it is a huge thing for us to do. A part of the rebate program for that is you can actually pay yourself to do the work, and that's how you can collect some of the money back. We do have information on that. You get like an hourly wage that you write down, and that you can get money back for that. So it's a really good thing to have. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm going to pass it back to Donna.
Okay, great. So thank you. I'm going to just open it up to questions if anyone has anything that they'd like to ask. Yeah, go ahead.
I just had a suggestion for the Wi-Fi. Those that have Wi-Fi, and I've done it myself, and if you don't have a generator, the generator obviously will get it going, but then it's an extended emergency. I have a little fact that I plug in my Wi-Fi into it, so even if our generator failed last year, but I still have Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That really helps.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. So, I just recently purchased my backup generator for my home as well. But it's called APUs. They're designed for actually computers, and you could get them from Best Buy, Lemon Drugs, Amazon, even Costco sells them as well. And before I had a generator, I had just over 3 hours on that battery backup, and that ran my Wi-Fi, even my TV. So it's kind of nice to have. So that's something, and they're not that expensive. I think like they start around like 50, 60 bucks. So it's definitely something if you don't have a generator, it's probably something you can look into, right? It helps you out to your electronics too, because when you have those power flickers that off on, off on, it actually hurts your electronics. So if you have sensitive electronics, you could even get one of those and it protects your electronics as well from power surges and stuff like that. So yes, thank you. Ross?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ross, what's going on with the second exit out of here? When I was on the board, we talked about it. We're going to put one out here for the back holiday trails because it's a little bottleneck here. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so we're reaching out to a lot of people from Anderson has changed in the department. We've been working with a new person right now who's in charge of Anderson. We are re-looking at that assessment as well, but with the government, it does take some time. So right now it's been emails back and forth. We have come up with some blueprints of how they want to do it. Graham from Anderson has assessed the area where they want to do, but it is in the process right now.
Yeah. Second, go ahead.
I have another question. You're talking about self-service. Okay, the antennas are over here on poles. When the power goes out, self-service goes out. You should talk to TELUS and put the antennas over there at CO, central office, as a generator backup. The self-service won't go out. I know that because my neighbor works for a company called BGIS that takes care of all these systems. He said they should put them over there and you'll have continuous self-service.
Yeah.
So you need to talk to TELUS about that.
I totally understand where you're coming from with that, and as far as I know is, if people don't know, but in the back metal here, there has been plans for a new future cell phone tower getting installed. The last time I talked to the company was you get cell phone service from here to Madden Park, all the way on Highway 3. When that system does get activated, there will be, even when power goes out, that system will still be activated. So it either has its own backup batteries, generator, whatever needs to be done. I don't know nothing about cell phone towers, but that is what I heard. When there's actually 3 antennas here in the valley, and I just found this out when the antenna at Holiday Trails failed due to power surge. So there's one halfway down Cedar, there's one at the community garden, and then there's actually one right on this telephone pole right up here at the Holiday Trails. So when that one went down, we actually could not get cell phone service here in RV Park. And when the company came up and assessed the situation, they said that the system we have here in the valley is actually old school technology. There's no parts available for it and stuff like that. They were having a very hard time finding the circuit board that they needed, and that's why the system was down for almost 2 months. 2 months. They were able to finally figure out how to get the system up and going again, and even when it was up and running, it was still having issues. So what I was told was they don't really want to put money into this older technology, and they are focusing more on the new tower to get that installed.
What's the time frame for that?
I don't know. Every time I talk to TELUS, they don't know. You know, you talk to someone somewhere around in Canada, so they don't really know the whole issue with the cell phone tower. I will relook into that cell phone tower again and then see if we can get more of a game plan. But I know it's a subcontractor who's working on the system, and it's actually not through TELUS. So TELUS is hiring the subcontractor to put the system in. That was the last I heard on it.
Would it help as law owners to go to TELUS and start complaining about the service?
Absolutely. I've been doing
so
it.
that we can get it done sooner than
Yeah, I've been almost, even my cell phone, I've been having issues with it. and lately since the new circuit board went in. Another thing is if you go purchase the brand new iPhone 16 and the Samsung, I can't remember which one it is, but the new technology in the cell phones actually do not work up here. So I actually had a plumber who I know really well, comes up here all the time, had his cell phone working just fine. He upgraded to the brand new iPhone, cell phone service. He contacted his provider and said that the new technology in the phone will not work with the old system that we have up here in the valley. So I'm actually due to upgrade my phone, but I do not want to upgrade it until the system up here gets revamped and fixed.
I think there's a question. Yes.
I have a question about the dues, the fees.
Yes.
So understanding that it's voluntary,
Yeah.
I have absolutely no problem with the rate going up
Okay.
because forest fires up here
Thank you.
is what keeps me awake at night.
Yeah, fair enough.
If there is like 47% of some villages that aren't paying, is it because of the cost of it? And the reason why I'm asking is because if the cost is going to go up,
Yeah.
is that going to reduce how many people are paying? And is there a pay what you can option for
Yeah.
people that just can't afford that?
You have a great question. I actually don't know why some people don't decide to pay. I don't know. I don't know if it's recreation property. Some people, maybe they don't come up here enough. It's not on their radar. I don't have that information. I have no idea why. So it's speculation. If the fees go up, and yes, it's not mandatory, could people say we can't afford it? Yeah, if that's the case, you're right. We should have a contingency for pay what you can. How would that affect others? These are all really great questions. Thank you. And ask me more, because I think it's important that we cover all these things, because we don't want to make it prohibitive for people to pay their dues when we need the money so much. Would we say no to somebody giving us anything they could afford? We would never do that. So yeah, that's a great question.
Or even a payment plan, like $10 out of every month,
Yeah.
$15.
If somebody approached me with that, that would be okay, or not just me, but the board. Sure.
Also, the ones that don't pay fire dues, what's going to happen if you do have a fire? Is the first thing the insurance companies call is the fire department to see if your dues are paid. Just
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
You had a question
Yeah.
over
You
here.
know that though?
I don't know. I mean, when people get their home insurance, they would have to fill in information about coverage. So, I mean, I don't know.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't.
Okay. Well, we're very unique here. So I see a lot of hands flying up. So I just want to take them in order. So,
Sure.
yeah, sure.
I just had a follow-up question about
Yeah.
the funding, and there are a lot of new Airbnbs,
Yeah.
and I understand the reluctance to contact recreational owners and, have any tone of compelling them to participate. But if we've got revenue-generating properties in the valley, I think we should take a survey in each of those neighborhoods and say, hey, who do you have as Airbnb properties? And direct some contact with them about paying dues.
Yeah.
We did that in Alpine,
Yeah.
and I think as a resident, knowing that your coverage is there for medical emergencies and everything, whether they're visitors to the valley or not, we don't discriminate. But I think the revenue-generating properties should, dare I use the word, be compelled? Yes.
Right. I mean, you make great points. I think, certainly in the villages that already pay through Strata or Co-op, it's all rolled in. So they pay for it because it's their lot and that's what they pay. So in other areas, if there's Airbnbs and they're not being compelled to pay those fees, you're absolutely on the money. I get it, but it's all a matter of what do you do? How do you do that? What do you do? So sorry, I know there was a couple other hands before yours. I'm going to come back. Ross at the back, and then I'll come here. If that's okay. Go ahead.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
How many members do we have on the fire department today? And what's the threshold to keep the insurance underwriters happy?
So we have 14 members now in the department, and the insurance underwriters want at least minimum 15. The insurance underwriters also know the valley as well. They know the history of the valley. We've actually, I don't think we've ever been to that 15 mark member on the department. So they are quite aware of the valley situation. They know with the the low kind of small population that we have up here, it's hard to find that 15 number mark. So they are quite aware of the valley.
Over
Yeah,
there.
right over here? Yep.
Yeah, I think it's important for the volunteer fire department to recognize that there are people that donate rather than pay dues. If you remember, historically, this whole dues and volunteer fire department wasn't always there. And a lot of us, especially us old-timers, we don't exactly go with the dues format that we have right now. So, you know, you may not see us in your roster, but there's still a lot of us that pay, but we don't pay it as a due, because I don't think it's right that the volunteer fire department has a billing system. I mean, it's okay to pay, you know, at a regular basis, but a lot of us would rather pay a little more than the dues, and maybe not quite as regularly as the dues, but you still have revenue coming in, even though you don't see them on your charts. So do recognize that there is money coming in from other sources, and it's really great that you guys are doing fundraising and drives and all kinds of events. These are great ways to make money. So a lot of us maybe not pay the dues, but we still pay you in other ways. And I think it's a better way myself. So remember that there are still other people that pay, even though you don't see it, right?
Very, very thoughtful. Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. And in agreement with that, absolutely. I think any way that somebody wants to contribute in their own way is amazing. And I think, of course, we're so appreciative. I will counter just to say that we can't run a department on that. We have expenses, $75,000 a year just to run lights and hydro, and you know, without any kind of guarantee every year that that's going to happen in some format, that's very stressful. This isn't a resource that is guaranteed because there's no government input here. So unfortunately, the reality of some situations in life is that it helps to know when where your money's coming from. And you know, but I get your point too. People give in other ways, maybe not through fire dues, and I understand that, and I'm sure we can appreciate that. Everything that is given is really appreciated. However, we still need to run operations and figure out how we're going to do that. So I hope you can appreciate that stance too.
Hi.
I know that the fire department here volunteers when other communities in the valley are in trouble. Is there a grant or any subsidies that come back to the community, or does all of that come out of the dues that are paid by the residents here?
Okay, let me see. So you're saying when we go to help other communities, you're wondering if there's a grant for us helping other communities?
Yeah, if the cost of going to another town to help.
Oh, are you talking about like
All the wildfires.
wildfire ordinance? Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're talking about deployments, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so deployments is we actually get, there is no funding from the residents here to basically pay for deployments. So we go out for deployment and then we bill the forestry, thank you, brain fart. We bill forestry for the time for the truck and the members who attend on that truck. So it actually is a really good payment for the department for coming in. For example, it's a 14-day term for a deployment, and you could revenue about but around just shy of $80,000 that comes into the department for 14 days. Also, you got to pay for the time for the firefighters as well for the time. But you know, $80,000 that come into the department, it helps us big time, right? So, but deployment's also not guaranteed, right? Because if we get a lot of rain all in summer and there's no wildfires, then there's no deployments, right? So the deployments, in my mind, it's like grants. You know, it's not guaranteed if you're going to get that grant or get that deployment. But yeah, zero money from residents' fire dues goes towards deployment.
Yeah, Ross at the back, and then yeah.
I have another question. Some fire departments volunteer, they pay the members on call.
Okay, I was just going to answer that.
The motor vehicle accident or wildfire, is there any, maybe something to look at to pay some of these members, these volunteers, calls? Because I lived in North Langley back in the 90s, and my neighbor was a volunteer fireman, and he was paid on call. Is there any way to do something like that? So, you know,
You
maybe
want me to speak to that?
these guys, men and women, work very hard.
I was just going to
Give them a little
talk about us not taking pay.
I think it would be a good thing.
Okay, it should come from there.
Yeah.
Yes, so we were paid on call for MVIs on the highway here.
Do you get paid, or does it just go to the department?
So when we do MVI road rescues, the department will get paid, and then for the time and hours that the firefighters were on that scene, they'll get paid as well. We all just recently made a decision, all the firefighters here just recently made a decision because we are saving money up for the new truck. We all voted for ourselves to basically, we're not taking any funds from the MVI and put all that money from the MVI into the bank account to purchase the new truck. Yeah. The MVIs go by hourly rate, so by the time you leave the hall, it's a minimum 1 hour. Doesn't matter if it's right here at the end or the four-way intersection, or if it's all the way to Landon Park. It's an hourly rate. It's $1.75 an hour when the truck leaves the hall, and you know, we could be out there from 1 hour. I think our max was 7 hours, you know, on the road. So it very depends on what the call is, right, and the incident. But yeah, we just recently decided to basically not take any money in our pocket to purchase the new truck.
Mike?
My insurance last year sent me a letter from Intact saying, because we're in a wildfire area, that there was a special supplement that if a fire was within a certain distance, that they would actually deploy a crew to come in to our home and take away anything that's flammable. They would set sprinklers, but they can't set sprinklers here. They would actually spray retardant on the home. I don't know how reliable it is. It depends on how busy it is. Does that get in the way of the fire department, or does that actually help?
It's funny you say that. The last deployment with Tag and I didn't even know where we were. We were searching middle of nowhere land in a smaller community of Sunshine Valley. And they had the same thing. So they had the insurance company, they had their own vehicles, they came in, sprayed the retardant on these homes. They were not affecting the department themselves, and it was actually through the insurance company. It took them a while to actually get there on scene. Like, I think it was 4 days after, about the time like we were on scene. But yeah, they did their own thing. They sprayed, they did whatever they had to do to protect that home. It is a different protection compared to putting in sprinklers. So this community that we were in, their water system was very, very small. They did not have any hydrants. They had very little water source to even put up sprinklers. And so this company comes in, they spray their homes. The retardant was good up to, oh man, I can't remember, it was just over a month that could stay on and be attacked in the house. So even if the house got wet, the retardant was still in the house. It's a new program that some insurance companies are doing. Not all insurance companies are doing it, but it's if your insurance company has that feature, I would definitely want to be looking into that. So when I come to renew my house, I'm going to be looking into that as well, because it's definitely something fairly new in the system, and it's something I think everyone should be looking into that. I don't know what the price difference is, but yes.
Oh, I think it was Gary, and then, yeah. Yeah, sorry, did you have your hand up? Yeah, no, I'm pointing to you, sorry, yeah.
Do you actually have a master list of how many residents there are in Sunshine Valley? For, and then you cross-reference that, about how many of those people actually paid their dues? And does somebody need to go knocking on doors saying,
Gosh, are you volunteering and just saying? Yeah, okay, fabulous. Yeah! Okay. I hear you. Well, yeah.
I will go knock on their door.
So that's like, okay, so the counselor in me is like, let's not bully or shame people, you know, like I get it, but listen, I can't tell you what to do, but Let me speak to lists. Lists are so difficult. That's why I had everyone write their email, and because I'm thinking, do I have the most updated information from people? So keeping accurate lists of people's emails and contacts is just a nightmare. So I did the best I could. I sent out all kinds of emails with reminders. You know, a lot of them bounced back. So keeping updated lists is very challenging, and also there's privacy concerns. So even if some organization has lists available of people's contacts, it's not just, oh, here, give me your list, right? It's confidentiality and privacy. So we try and collect as much as we can. So again, I just want to reiterate, and I think to Mike's point, that there are people who do donate outside of dues and do other things to support the community. And
True,
so,
you put a little
but
check beside their name saying
yeah,
they didn't pay dues, but they did something else.
they might have done
Or it
something.
could be
Yeah.
senior who can't afford it.
Correct.
There are people up here that
Sure.
can afford it.
Sure, there are all kinds of things, and I'm sure even a percentage of those 47, there's probably very good reasons why they haven't paid. So, you know, maybe we're looking at a very smaller percentage. So, but listen, let's celebrate the people who do, the fact that there's contribution in many different domains here, that the community is amazing, and focus on what we are achieving with what we have, which is fabulous. But you do what you do, okay? You do you. Yeah. Okay, no idea.
So I live on Cedar Boulevard,
Okay.
and I noticed our fire hydrant right across the street has been removed. Do we know if that's getting put back? Because it's been removed about a year ago.
I have mentioned it to Tony on SVDL, and this is actually just recently, and like maybe a week ago. He was going to look into that, and he has not got back to me on that. But I know the hydrant you're talking about, and there was actually another hydrant down in Cedar as well that was removed recently, and it's now a standpipe. The problem what we have here with hydrants is, even though there's a fire hydrant there, it's the services that provides the hydrant. There's not enough flow, and the lines underground are basically too small. Even though the houses, let's say, has a fire issue, 100% I would still hook my truck up to the hydrant. But as for the insurance underwriters, they need to see a certain hydrant flow test. And I know the hydrants here in the valley do not pass that requirement. So that is why we're also looking into what's called the Superior Tanker Shuttling Program. We have worked with them in the past. We have passed this course with our tenders that we have in our fleet. The problem that we have to do now is because Sunshine Valley is developing, and especially over on the Hottenberry side, it's getting farther and farther, meaning like closer and closer to the Hope Slide. So the distance of travel extends. So we have to retest to get that certification back up. So even though, let's say, I'm just going, for example, your place. So let's just say your house is on fire. I will still be hooking up to that hydrant there, hooking up to my truck, and doing this tanker superior shelling as well to keep up with that water flow program.
So how do you hook up to the hydrant if it's not?
So we actually have adapters in our truck. So even though it's not a hydrant, it's actually called a standpipe. And we actually have adapters in the truck that connect to that, and it's still considered to be a hydrant. It's definitely not as much flow as what a hydrant will provide. And the last conversation I had with Anthony or Tony, I said, you know, why was this hydrant removed? He didn't give me an answer right then and there. He was going to look into that, and he has not got back to me on that. So it will be a follow-up for the next time I see him on that question. But yes, I'll be looking into that, and once I hear, I'll let you know.
So how do we find out where because like our insurance is due, and they're asking the distance to the closest hydrant.
Right.
Do I use the standpipe or do I use the hydrant?
So the insurance company up here in the valley, they know pretty much, even though that you have a fire hydrant there, let's just say that fire hydrant never got replaced. So that fire hydrant was there. The insurance company actually does not recognize it because it's the utilities underground that cannot provide to that hydrant. But I'll still be connecting it to it, no problem. But the insurance company does recognize that those hydrants pretty much do not exist because of the utilities. Yeah.
My insurance company, as long as I was within a certain distance from the firewall, help manage 24 hours.
Yeah.
Stay accepted.
Yeah, so that's what the insurance companies now are looking into that. So for example, when I just renewed my home, they were asking where's the closest firewall, right? They didn't even ask me where the closest hydrant was, right? So I told them where the firewall was. I even hit my reset on my tripodometer from basically the driveway to the firewall right to my driveway. and I knew exactly how much kilometers it was. I would mention them, you know, let the insurance company know this is the distance to the fire hall, and not once did they ask me about a fire hydrant. So the question now the insurance companies are asking, how close is the closest fire hall, and not where's the closest fire hydrant. But
Is this because our insurance is in the city that they're asking you for the hydrants?
Probably.
probably, yeah. So if you deal with Housing Hope, they know Sunshine Valley. If you also deal with Shell Insurance, they know Sunshine Valley as well. I would look into those companies before you deal with someone in.
Except our insurance rate is way better than what Hutchinson gives us, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll look into that fire hydrant question because I'd like to see that fire hydrant get put back in place, and the other fire hydrant that was taken out in Cedar.
You got Ross and then here.
What's our classification for insurance? Are we unprotected, semi-protected, fully protected?
Semi.
So it is considered to be semi-protected. There is one area, as far as I know, in Huckleberry Village that is protected because they recently just put new hydrants in with the proper service. So the insurance is seeing that as protected, but everywhere else in the valley is semi-protected.
So to get protected over here on this side, we have to up our game on the water system.
Correct. Yeah, so the whole water system would need to be upgraded.
Can you pull from the building over there? Because I know when we did the 200 gallons a minute for 2 hours a few years ago, we were pumping water out of that building there pretty fast.
Yes, so that is, the Holiday Trails water building is the only building that the insurance underwriter sees as the water source. They do not see the lake as a water source because it could dry up in summertime. So you have to have a water source that has providing enough flow for continuous time, and the Sunshine Valley, or sorry, the Holiday Trails water building is the only water source that they recognize.
Is that an aquifer that's coming out of?
No, it's coming out of a well. Brian, can you?
It is an aquifer.
Oh, it is? Okay. So it is all the correct pumping system. It's all the correct treatment that it needs to have. It has the correct fire compression system pump in that building as well.
So could you hook a truck up to that and pump 200 gallons a minute for 2 hours nonstop?
Yes.
Going all day?
Yeah.
So you can put the ladders around.
Yeah, and we've done it before in that building. Yeah.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say with fire insurance, it's a bit of consumer be aware. I thought I had fire insurance. I had booked with Hub initially with the building, and that was all fine. And then they bumped me out from Hope to Chilliwack. You're dealing with a salesperson, told him what I needed, and I had insurance there, I think, 2 years.
Okay.
And then was talking with some other residents, and it was like I didn't get the liability part right for the leased land, so I had to, you know, it's about understanding what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked to find out when I went to a person who was in Hope, who apparently knows everything, and she said, "You haven't been insured for fire for 2 years."
Oh.
I have the improper insurance. So they will sell you anything, so you have to be aware of what you need. And that would be really helpful to have. Well, that from the developers, but also the fire department. Whatever.
Yeah, always like, you know, read that fine print in your insurance. You're not the only one that actually did
But it
that.
said I was covered.
Yeah.
And we even sent a flyer out, oh, this, and this about fire. And it's like, it turns out what was wrong with my policy was, I'm on Huckleberry Road, was she said, no, you need a business policy. That's the only one that will do the proper fire insurance. The other one, it's like a personal, whatever. She said that's not adequate for the valley. So it's like, I was glad we didn't have fires because we weren't insured for 2 years. So it's all, now I'm paying way more money, but we're covered. So I got the fire, the earthquake, and the overland water. And that's another issue. If you don't understand overland water, you should. And it's not in your policy, you probably want it.
Okay.
And the other thing. And it seems to be constantly changing because the person that I was dealing with, I recommended them to another resident in Huckleberry Grove, and they couldn't get, Intact was no longer going to do it. It's like there's less options now, so.
Yeah.
Buyer be aware. You just don't take it at face value.
Yeah, like every time I've done like my renewal, my house insurance and stuff, I always shop around. You know, I hit 4 or 5 different insurance.
They know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy just sold me, I told him what I wanted, but he just sold me a policy that wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say about our, because we own 2 properties, and we have a rural property in Princeton. I think that people need to realize that, for our insurance, for our property, both of ours are for forest fire, is that if we're not on the property, we are still covered. We do not have to go check our property every 5 days, or every week, or 2 times a month. And maybe homeowners need to be aware that that is available. So in our insurance that we have in the city, our rural property is protected from forest fire, and we do not have to check our property monthly. Like if we don't make it up there because of snow or life circumstances or whatever, our property is still covered. And I think that's another thing that people might want to consider. Like if they're not up here often, and they don't have people checking on their houses or whatever for security, there are insurance policies that will cover you if you are not able to make it to the property.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff around insurance that kind of is not in our purview, right? Because we're the department, and the fire department, not the insurance provider. So I think you're right. I think when it comes to your insurance and looking into things, and share this with your neighbors, just share, because obviously we need to be aware of it. So thank you. Are there any other questions that are related to the topics that we're talking about? Or otherwise, we'll be very happy to let you browse the tables, and please sign up. And we're all going to stay here. So if you want to do some one-on-one,
There is one thing we didn't mention. We're having a full tank of gas.
have a full tank of gas when you come to the valley. Important. Yeah, Gary, yes.
Just might be interesting to share with the people how much the average cost of a new to us engine is going to be, so they know what
truck.
We've got nothing in the bank right now, or very little.
Yeah.
So this is what we're looking at.
Yeah, so $225,000 for not a new truck, but a used truck. So yeah, so $225,000.
That's one that's going to last about how long, Aaron? 15 years?
Yeah, 15 years. So a truck.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. Good question.
So a fire truck life inspection, it doesn't matter if it's 1 kilometer or 500,000 kilometers. The truck is only good for 30 years. Once it reaches that 30-year mark, the truck is no longer good. So our previous engine was 29 years old, and unfortunately we had some issues going on with the frame of the truck, where every year the truck needs to go in for its regular MBI, and it failed due to its frame issue. So with it being 29 years old, with the frame issue, it wasn't worth putting the money into the truck to fix the truck for 1 more year. So that's when the department decided to sell it. And then been working really close with, it's called Rocky Mountain Phoenix, which is the company who sells used fire trucks. And we found a truck that will be 10 times better than what our previous engine was for this valley. And it's almost too good to be true. This truck is located in Alberta right now. They're willing to transport this truck to Abbotsford to their head locations for free for us, because they know how small the department we are. And once we get the truck there, they'll do a full pump test, full MBI service, all the servicing that needs to be done. Basically, they'll give us a call. Here's the key for the truck. We go pick it up. So it'll have its full works done to it before we go pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
David, go ahead.
David Bull, Selection Donna. Just thought I'd make a few comments, just to touch on a couple of things, because there's a few things that were said. One, we are helping out the department. We've just given them a sizable amount, $20,000.
Thank you.
$20,000 to help with help them with the leasing and the financing. You've seen some of our equipment. We have equipment we serve up here that we've done. They're familiar essentially
Dry hydrant.
Dry hydrant, which seems like an oxymoron. But it's going to be put in currently we're looking at the canal on that side of the Huckleberry Gate, so that all of those houses, instead of taking the water from here, it won't be recognized by the insurance people and all that stuff. It's more practical. So they don't have to cross the highway and go through the gate and all that sort of stuff. We'll have one there. That whole body of water will be able to be used. The lake never does dry out. We all know it gets low, but it doesn't dry out. So that'll be just an extra thing for that side. I'm going to, Aaron doesn't know this yet, but I am going to talk to him about this side. There's that little body of water, and whether or not we can actually get a dry hydrant there in Cedar. But we could then suck water from either side, which is a backup to Brian's. Okay, something for whatever. We have a game not recognized. A couple of quick corrections. TELUS does the cell phone stuff here. That's a Rogers Shaw Tower, nothing to do with TELUS. Then TELUS had the contract, they lost it to those guys. And Rogers is now bought out of Shaw. The delay is because of all the corporate stuff. We had to sign off and let them go across our property, put it there. They've done the surveys, they've done the geotech, they've hired the guys, and we're all waiting for when they're going to put that up. So TELUS gets to use that tower, but they're not doing that tower. And I talked directly with them, and Holiday Trails was nice enough to give them a piece of their land, and we had to allow them across our land, and they're just not stuff. So we're waiting on them, but it's not to do with TELUS.
Just take a breath.
I just got back late last night and drove up here this evening.
Yeah, cedar hydrant.
On the fire hydrants, which are not, as Aaron said, they're not recognized as fire hydrants because the pipes are too small that were put back in and never was the 70s. Insurance people don't recognize them. So to answer your question, if you need to fill something out, you would say, if you want to put something up, you would put the distance to that standpoint. The reason they were not put back as a hydrant, and I didn't know that one was not given out, is the old regime, the old chief. So we're not going to use them, they don't care, we're not doing it, so it doesn't matter, put in a standpoint. Because we're already giving money, because we're already doing the dry hydrants, because we're already doing the other stuff, we're more than happy to work with the department, even though they won't be recognized. From a practical point of view, we'll arrange that. And I gave you the information, so I didn't realize you would get back. We'll put hydrants back in. Okay.
Great, thank you for the clarification and obviously for the money as well. Thank you very much. So, and thanks Gary for asking that question. You know, when you're working in it every day, you kind of forget that there's information that it would be important for you to know as well. And just also, we've got about $60,000 down to put down on that truck. So that was a huge undertaking to get even that much of a down payment. So, yeah.
I forgot.
Oh, you forgot something.
On the 43%, or whoever the MIAs are, the AWOLs, whatever they are, we obviously have the utility up here. We know everybody's name and address and all that stuff, supposedly. There's probably a few that are missing. We've heard there's some missing in Cedar. They come in the shadows. And we are looking at, but that is run by the government. We are overseeing. And you're not supposed to take that list and use it for other stuff. So we're checking to see if we can give that info to the fire department. Because it's utility and the water pipes therefore feed those hydrants, we're trying to see if there's a way that, because it's A connected to B, the elbow joint, you know what, here's their name, and then, then the fire department can go, hi, your insurance may not be there if they don't, volunteer your voluntary dues. And on the dues, we were told, so they're at 175, now you're going to do 225, 250 sold. That at 350, this was a few years back, comparable, that's what people pay for comparable service. And we have a lot of people, a lot of equipment, a great new hall, which we help with Holiday Trails to provide. And what we would pay at 250 is not quite, it's not a steal, but it's way below what you would normally pay for comparable service. So I think it's a good deal.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, well, this is probably a good point to probably bring the meeting to a close, but keep in mind we'll stay here. There's lots of tables and things to sign up for and answer questions. So thank you all very much for coming out. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.